Good evening, everyone. I am Zora Qureshi and I'm from Sharat, and I will be your moderator for this evening. I hope everybody's doing well and staying safe. Just for those who don't know what Sharat is, we are the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Centre. We are the first step of the entrepreneurial journey, supporting founders as they develop their ideas, build and launch their initial products, and become investment ready. We also provide an offering to established tech startups that want to build a presence here in Sharjah, helping to transform the Emirate into a thriving entrepreneurship hub. Now, to do all of that, we believe that the first step in creating a sustainable entrepreneurial ecosystem is to create a mind shift in the cultural mindset. And as such, we work towards developing both professional and personal skill sets, especially now that we are embracing the Ubuntu philosophy after what you all can agree has been a very challenging year. And this brings me to our seminar today. Let me introduce to you practitioner of the healing arts, sacred wisdom keeper Silfath Pinto. She has spent the last 10 years traveling the world and supporting individuals in stepping into their brilliance. Her clients have experienced a beautiful paradigm shift, from changing jobs to starting a new career, from letting go of the past hurt to moving to a new city, and from meeting their soulmate to improving relationships. So I think you all agree that we are truly enlightened for an experience today. Before we start, I do just want to note that if we want to interact today or send across any questions, you can do so through the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen. And with that, I'd like to hand the virtual floor over to Silfath. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this beautiful introduction. Really, Disha. I am so pleased to be here. I am so pleased to serve and to share some wisdom, some tips, and some tools. This is actually a subject I'm very passionate about because I'm an entrepreneur myself. I went to business school, I majored in finance, I worked in banking, and I was doing really well. I was very abundant. I thought I love living in New York, and everything was doing really well. And then I decided to start my own business. And things started becoming a little bit tricky. And I realized through my journey, and I had to learn through my journey, that abundance as money is not about just learning how to create a budget, learning how to do projections and plans on revenues and margin and expenses. Like all this knowledge and this wisdom and those skills, I have them. I went to business school and I majored in finance. So really early I realized that the issue was not the technical skill. There was another issue. And so that was a really deep journey for me in really understanding my relationship with money and my relationship with abundance. And as I went through the journey and I shifted and my business became successful, I felt really passionate about sharing this awareness with other entrepreneurs, right? And when you go to business school and you go to the corporate world, it's really easy because the value is defined by the market. Right. So, I went to this business school. This is my value on the market. If I want this type of job, it's set. When you become an entrepreneur, the success of your business is directly related to you, your own energy. It's like game on, right? It's game on, right? So when people go into entrepreneurship, a lot of time they don't know and they start getting stuck and they do all these actions. Clients are not coming in, projects are not going through, and they're like, what's going on? So I started coaching other entrepreneurs, in particular those who were in corporate and wanted to move into entrepreneurship. But I also started offering this specific workshop. Okay. So I'm going to get started and share the screen. And what I want to say about what I'm going to share now is a lot of it is going to be you having a lot of realization, a lot of aha, a lot of, oh, really? Like you're going to start putting some of the pieces of the puzzle together and start realizing why you might have some challenges around money or abundance, in particular if you already started your entrepreneurship journey. So I invite you to really start taking notes. There are moments where I will give you some prompts, right? I will ask you, what are you doing with this, or how do you feel about that? And I'm going to invite you to journal, right? And start writing down. And as you write down, things are going to start coming to the surface, right? So at first you might be like, and you start writing and memory start activating, right? So really take some time to journal today. We're going to have some time for sharing during the presentation, and then after we're going to have some time for Q&A also. Okay, so I'm a very interactive person. Do not be afraid to do they have access to the chat? Can they send questions in the chat?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So do not hesitate to send some of your questions or realization in the chat, right? Let's make this session interactive, because in the sharing, a lot of is realized also. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Maddie. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen now. Share. Okay. So money and abundance, the tipping point. So the first thing that I want to say is that we actually live in an abundant universe. Like if you look at Mother Nature at its natural state, not with the interaction of human being, nature is very abundant. There is one time where I really tapped into that awareness. I was in Bali and I just had done one of my retreat. And we went for the final lunch to this place that I had like direct view on the jungle. And when I was looking at the jungle, I was like, oh my God, like I could feel the abundance of life, the abundance of energy, the richness. And I felt this, I really tuned into that frequency of we live in an abundant universe, but we have been fed with a different story. So the story we have been fed with and the things that we have heard in our childhood or in the families or around are things like money is the source of all evil. Don't be greedy. You think money grows on tree? Rich people probably had to act unethically. You can have everything you want. You cannot have everything you want. We all had different version of those statements. This is the survival of the fittest. When you talk about the survival of the fittest, the underlying energy is that there is not enough for everyone. Okay, and those beliefs are actually limiting belief. Like there is enough for everyone. Even when I started being like a coach and a healer and a teacher, people were telling me, oh, there are so many coaches out there, like how are you going to do? And I was just like, there's no one like me, right? There is something that I bring to the table that is going to resonate with certain people and not with other people. So if I feel called, like the wisdom of Mother Nature, if I feel called to bring a certain essence, energy into the world, that means that somehow my voice is going to touch people. So the whole thing about there is not enough, there is scarcity, times are hard, I never buy into that energy. As a matter of fact, when I was in New York as a personal stylist and when I was in Dubai as a coach, there are moments where my colleagues, personal stylists or coach, were like, oh, the time are difficult, people are not really paying. And I'm just like, no, not for me. No, it's a belief, right? It's a belief. And if you believe that, that's what's going to be your reality. And I'm going to explain that a little bit more. But I always been like, no, that doesn't feel right. And I've been busy. Whatever's going on out there, I'm busy, right? So all the things that we heard in our childhood, you really want to start looking into it and realize that they shape up the way you see the world. They shape up the programs, right? The way you see money, abundance, success. And then they shape up how good you are doing right now. They're literally creating your reality. So many of us have heard comments in childhood about life being hard, the fact that there is not enough for everyone, or I've been reminded constantly that only the fittest and the strongest can survive. We have lived in a paradigm of scarcity. And more so, in certain religious texts, money has been defined as the source of all evil. If you look at the earth, you start understanding how abundant life is. if you look at Mother Nature and you understand the cycle of life. So creation is actually a boundless energy, meaning that there is always more, right? There always more, there always more. If again, human beings don't interact, right? There's always more fruits, there's always more, flowers, there's always more babies, right? So there is always more creation and destruction, because that's also part of the cycle of life, happen all the time, right? But it's an abundant cycle. There's always possibilities. And really, what needs to happen, we need to change our perspective and we need to change our mindset. Because if you are in a mindset of scarcity, that's what you create in your reality. And we're going to look into more like the different level of scarcity. So when you want to shift your energy, you want to look into two things. You want to look at the belief you have and where they're coming from and shift them. And you want to start changing your behavior today, because a behavior is a frequency. A frequency matches you to similar frequency. So if your behavior or your choices are based on the idea that life is hard, that's the reality that you're going to show. And I see this all the time, even with my friend, when I want to do something and they start talking, don't do this, it's going to be hard. I'm like, zip, zip it. Do not interfere with my frequency. I know what I'm doing, right? But literally, like the words that you say, the thing, like for instance, a woman came to me to work on abundance, and she repeated at least 4 times, I have a feast and famine relationship with money. And I'm like, if you keep repeating that, and that's the story you keep telling, that's your reality. So the first thing that you want to start doing is stop saying that, right? So your words are really important. So I want to break down a little bit how this energy thing works, because I think that's one of the most important awareness to have about money and abundance, but to have about everything actually. So, and that's very much at the heart of the work I do with people. So frequency and manifestation, what do we mean by that? Yes, I will send a presentation. Okay, so it's just popping on my screen, so I'm like, what's going on? Okay, so the mind map. So the first thing that you want to know, and that is really important, is that we have the conscious mind and we have the subconscious mind. So in the conscious mind, we have our reasoning, our logical thinking, what we think and we are conscious of on a daily basis. In the subconscious mind, which is actually 90% of our operating system, we have our beliefs, our past programming, our emotion, our imagination. But imagination a lot of time is negative, like the worst case scenario. People are really good at imagining the worst case scenario, not the best case scenario. Intuition, trauma, values, the values that you received, that you were programmed with as a child. The trillions of thoughts going through your mind, and actions that are involuntary. So let me just explain a little bit that. Between 0 and 7 years old, everything that happens to you create programs like software in your operating system, in your nervous system. So for instance, one operating system I work with a client was, every time things are really good for me, something bad is going to happen. Because at one point she was 5, she was happy, having the time of her life, and her dad slapped her. Right? And she received that and was like, okay, life is not safe. And when I'm really happy, something comes and disturbs it and destroys it. Defense mechanism, going forward, I'm going to sabotage when I'm really happy so that I don't have to deal with what I just felt. This happens really quickly. So now this person comes to me and he's like, I don't understand, every time things are going really well in my life, I start sabotaging myself. And I know I'm sabotaging myself. I cannot stop myself. This is the involuntary action. You are literally in autopilot. Like I work with a woman, partner did something. She got triggered, like because the subconscious mind doesn't make the difference between past and present. So the subconscious mind feels like whatever is happening here is whatever happened when you were 5 or 6, and start triggering the defense mechanism. And she called him, and she just it was really bad, obnoxious. No awareness, no intelligent, healthy communication. It was just pure trauma coming to the surface. And then 2 days after, she calls me and she's like, this is what happened. And she was like, Silfath, I was at a point, I was like, why you didn't text me? Why you didn't connect? Like, what happened? And she was like, I couldn't process anything clearly. I couldn't. And I was like, yeah, you were in fight and flight. You were back into the trauma. Okay. And so sometimes it's very intense, and you start being aware. Like when you start being aware, you're like, oh my God, I am processing something. I'm not rational right now. And sometimes it's not. So I'll give you another example. One woman comes to me and says, I'm going to do your next training, your next certification. I'm so excited. It's going to be amazing. La, la. And I could feel her whole body and all energy really aligned. Then the training arrives and she goes, I'm not going to do it. And I go, okay, why? And she goes, you know, I like this so much, this movement. It's like a somatic, like therapy for movement. I like this so much. I want to keep it for myself. I feel like if I learn it to teach it to other people, it's going to spoil it for me. I said, okay. That's the conscious story, the logical thinking, right? I could feel as she was speaking that it was off, but she was convinced. I start the training. 1 week into the training, she comes to me and she's like, I think I made a mistake. And I said, why? She said, actually, I think what I told you was not the real story. I was like, I know, what's the real story? And she goes, I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of not being good enough. And that reasoning that I gave you was a perfectly well-oiled reasoning about self-love and self-care, but that was not the real story. And I was like, yeah, I know. Right? So you want to start realizing that sometimes it can be very subtle. We justify our choice in a very rational way, but the underlying energy sometimes is a subconscious fear. Okay, and I will give you more insight on how to start identifying those fear. Okay. I keep having this screen popping up. Okay. So now I'm going to, and please, what I say, we have an hour and a half. So I'm covering a lot in an hour and a half. If you want to read more about the subconscious mind, really go and look into it. It's fascinating. And that awareness is literally life-changing because you start being really aware of how you create your reality. So the first thing is to be aware of that is your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. So I'll give you an example. Someone comes to me and says, I am very abundant, but they're struggling with money. I'm like, no, you're not. At a subconscious level, you're not abundant. Because if you were abundant at a subconscious level, your reality would show abundance, period. Law of attraction. Women come to me, I'm ready to be in a beautiful relationship, but there is no one coming into my life. You're not ready. There is a part of you that is afraid to be in a relationship. Let's figure out why. Okay? I'm not getting those big contracts. I don't know, I'm ready. I give you the example of my brother. My brother came to visit me and he was like, I don't understand, I want to work on this type of project. Nothing is coming through. I was like, okay. And then a few days, I noticed that he make a lot of comment about no one knowing about him, about when you have a lot of money, people come to bother you because, in Africa, when you have money, everyone wants you to help. So, he made like few comments, and because it's what I do, I'm very aware and I start identifying patterns. So I go and I tell him, I'm like, do you have a belief that when you have a lot of money or when you are successful, things go south or you don't have your peace? And his wife goes, yes. And I go, And I like, so can you see how it's going to be an issue for you to be successful? Because as long as you believe that success is going to come with headache, you don't want success, because a big part of you want peace. So you need to start believing that you can have success and have your peace. And then it will come to you. 2 months after, he had an amazing job because he had this realization. Okay, so your reality is a reflection of your inner world and your subconscious. Whatever shows up in your reality shows you program hiding in your subconscious, which brings me to the law of attraction. We co-create our lives every day with our thoughts, our words, and actions. Some of us co-create consciously and bring bliss, harmony, and success into their life, but too many of us co-create passively and unconsciously, attracting situations and people that don't serve us. In essence, you attract what you vibrate with your thoughts, your actions, and your word. Okay? So you're thinking what you say and what you do. And all of it is based on the programs and belief embedded in your subconscious mind. Okay, so I gave you a few examples before for you to start being aware of, how this works. Now that we have understood that, so that's the first thing, right? We know that in order for you to change your abundance, you need to start being aware of those programs and those beliefs, right? Reverse them in the past and in the present. I will explain it later, right? But that's the first awareness. Now we're going to dive in a little bit more. And we're going to break down abundance into 4 energies. And you're going to start for each one of those energies, identifying your behaviors, thoughts, and actions around these energies, right? Because those energies have a direct effect on how abundant you are in your life. Let's break it down. The first one is trust. In other words, do you live in a universe that is friendly and supportive? Or do you live in a universe that is threatening? Are you always expecting people to attack you or bad things to happen? And when things happen and don't go your way, do you feel like something is coming at you? Are you fighting with life or are you dancing with life? Why is it important? Abundance is an energy of openness, receptivity, and expansion, right? If you see me like that, nothing can come into my field. If you see me like that, I am open to receive. If you believe that the world is threatening, your energy field is like that. You are ready for something bad to happen. You are expecting the worst. In my movement therapy class, I do an exercise with people for that. I blindfold them and put some music. It's a whole process. I'm just giving you like the quick. And they start moving. You have the people who stay against the wall. They're like, and they move along the wall and they're scared. What's the belief here? Be careful, something might happen. You have the people who venture out slowly, but they're very cautious. And if they come across something, they will give a jump, right? What is that? Expecting right away that something to be threatening or to be painful or whatever. And then you have the people who go. Because before we start the movement, I told them, we are in each corner of the room and we are taking care of you. When you are reaching something that might hurt you, we will touch you there and you will know that it's okay. So you're safe. You are free to explore. We got you. So those people who trust, they go and they dance and they stretch and they breathe. And when they touch something, they go, oh, what is this? Right? They're open. They trust. They're ready to receive. Okay? That's an energy that is magnetic. That's an energy that is repulsive. Protection. How do you know you are in a protection kind of energy and you feel like life is threatening? You're often defensive. You have a lot of resistance to change, right? You often experience envy, because envy is, oh, this person have this, why don't I have this? So you feel like somehow the universe is not fair because they gave it to you, but to this person, but not to you, right? That energy is an energy that, okay, I am missing out of something. I am not being treated equally or properly. Blame and victimhood, same energy. Resentment, same energy. Wishful thinking, oh, I wish it was like that. All this energy I base on the fact that, okay, I'm not being treated properly, or something is off, or I wish I had this. When you are truly in your power, when you really trust life, then you go, okay, this didn't happen. Maybe it was not the best for me. I know for sure that everything that didn't happen to me was either because I was not ready, either because it was not going to best for me and I have proof afterward, or I created this energy because I have a fear, a belief, or whatever. And then when it happens, I'm like, why is this happening this way? Self-awareness, self-digging, realization, shifting of the energy. Okay, so are you in an energy of dancing with life? Are you in flow and dancing, or are you in fighting and protecting? Okay, so that's the first one. So see where you are with that, and see what is your background. What are your parents' relationship with those energies, right? If you have a lot, life is hard, life is a struggle. Okay, if you're coming from a place where there was war, that will also affect, because you'll be like, okay, threat, attack, possibility to die or to lose people, right? That's really intense, and that can really mark you at a really deep level. Then we have commitment, a consistent and clear vibration. So that's basically what I'm saying here, is that the root chakra, right, is a chakra of foundation, building blocks. And it's a chakra that regulates consistency and commitment, right? And it goes with the energy of alignment. Basically, to make it simple, if you want something, are you vibrating that energy consistently? I'll give you an example. Someone says, I want to be abundant. I want to attract clients that value me and pay for my service and love what I do. And they go out there and they spread the word about what I do. Amazing. Okay. You have to pay something. Oh my God, this is expensive. Someone gives you their price. Can you give me a discount? If you want people who are going to truly honor you, just be really careful about how you treat other people, right? And again, everything is very subtle. There is a difference between I am sitting on a table and I'm having a negotiation with someone, right? And there are different parameters you're aware of in terms of your margin to negotiate the price, right? Like, for instance, renting an apartment, right? Renting an apartment, I know when I'm in Kenya now, when I was discussing the price, I know the value of the market. When they give me a price, I'm like, I will discuss it with it. But then if I have a session with someone, a therapist or whatever, and they give me the pricing, I will honor that, right? If you want someone who spread the word about what you do you spread the word about other people, what other people do, right? So you want your energy to be consistently aligned with what you want to create in your life, basically. So how do you know you have a low commitment? So someone who has a low commitment is usually someone whose energy is always shifting between vibration, and the universe is like, what are you? Like, what do I match you with? You have like a confusing vibration. So people who always change their mind, people who have a hard time committing to plan and deciding, oh yes, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. People who commit and then don't show up, flakiness. People who are often confused, right? When you have this vibration, the universe doesn't really know what to do with you. What is your match? It's constantly changing. It's like you broadcasting an energy. It's like someone is lost on an island and they have this flashlight and they're broadcasting like just for 1 hour every 24 hours, it's going to be harder for them to be, identified by, whoever, like planes or whatever, because that broadcast is not consistent. Okay, so commitment and consistency are important building block in creating abundance in your life, right? Really committing to a vibration. The next one, the third one, is self-worth. Self-worth is something that I work a lot with people, in particular with women, but also with men. So here I have a list of energies or behaviors that are low self-worth. Money and abundance is all about value. What you believe you deserve and which value you put to yourself, but also which value you give to others, because what you put out there, it comes back to you. So how do you know you have low self-worth? You're always excusing or justifying your existence. I'm sorry, explaining yourself all the time. No, I wanted to come, but, I was not sure. I really wanted to come. I'm sorry. Like those people who are always apologizing, even when there is no need to apologize, right? Always explaining, even if there's no need to explain. That means that it's a lower self-worth issue, because you always feel like you need to explain and prove yourself. And you're very afraid not to be loved, not to be accepted, or not to be understood. People who are greedy, they always want more. It's never enough, right? So there are people, for instance, I have less and less of this type of people, but for instance, when actually I don't have this type of people anymore, but because also I have a very good awareness now and embodiment of the value of what I offer. But when I was doubting that, I would have those people who come and would be like, it's never enough. I want more. I want more. They're not even taking time to digest what you give them, but they're like insatiable. It's never enough. But that deep down, it's I'm not good enough energy. Okay. No. Okay. Walid and Anin, I want to invite you to ask those questions after we've been through the different layers, because I feel like you might have some answers when we go through the different layer. But Anin, I'm going to start answering your question now. That's not confusion. You might have many different interests. A lot of time, what I say to people is some of those interests are just for you for fun. Some of those interests can actually work together in you creating something really unique. Some of these interests needs to be pursued one after the other. Okay, so I'll give you my example now. I write poetry, I do movement, I do energy healing, I am a painter, I paint, I am into fashion. I had at one point I was making jewelry. I have a line of clothing that I have made for myself, and then people wanted to buy, and I started buying them, and I was like, this is too much work, I put it on the side. So I have many interests. How do they all come together in my work? When I organize a retreat, for instance, we have an art therapy session. We do movement a lot. There is the healing and the coaching. We have a goddess photo shoot where I style the women for the photo shoot. Like, so all of my interests, they're all layers of the same thing or the same offering. Now, I know that I will have a clothing line at one point. And in that clothing line, I'm going to have clothes and accessories. I know that I'm going to have products like sea salt product and sprays. So I know there are other offerings that will come in my journey. But for now, I'm more focusing on transformational experience, speaking, etc. So it's not having many interests is what makes you unique and makes your offering unique. How are you going to pursue them, in which order? That's where you kind of follow your inner compass. That's actually part of the conversation we're having in the next session. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the other question about failure. When it's not a failure, it's not failing. There is a pattern that you need to see. When you see that the pattern is coming through and you start seeing it, then you start understanding the belief. And then you can start clearing that. Okay, so for instance, if you see that every time you partner with people who are not ready, there is an information there for you, how you choose your partner, right? Do you believe that you can truly be supported? Do you believe that you can truly have an equal? And that's where you start looking also at your childhood. You start looking at your parents. What were your parents saying about other people, for instance? Did they say, oh, you know, you cannot rely on people, or people are not lazy, or do your thing by yourself, don't really partner with other people, whatever, right? So if your issue is your partner, then you need to start digging, like, what kind of messages or what kind of experience you had in your childhood around working in partnership with other people, around others, etc. Okay, so it's a detective work. This is why when I do private session with people, I say to them, we're going to dive in and I'm going to be like a detective, like looking into your life, your energy, your choices, your childhood, like a mad scientist, and you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So are you receiving compliment easily? This list here is for you to start identifying the belief that you have. Okay, are you an attention seeker? People who are attention seeker, a lot of time are people who are uncomfortable. They feel like they need to prove something to people. They don't really know their value and they don't rest in their value peacefully. Are you diminishing or mocking others? Are you criticizing others? Do you tend to put yourself on the bottom of your to-do list, always taking care of 10,000 people, but not taking care of your own needs? Are you settling for less? All right. So in your relationship, in your friendship, you feel you're not really happy, it's not really working for you, but you're afraid to speak your truth, you're afraid to express what you really want, and you settle for energies and relationships that don't really work, even family, just because you're afraid. Do you feel shame sometimes? Do you have toxic relationship? Do you live in a place that doesn't feel right to you? Do you keep environment that don't feel right to you? Are you underpaid? Are you undervaluing other people's time, money, and energy? So I want everyone to take some time to look at that list and start identifying if you're showing some of these signs in your life, because that is going to show you how much value you put to yourself, how much do you value yourself, and how much you value yourself is going to impact how much abundance and money you bring to yourself. So I'm just want to give you a couple of minutes to reflect on that and to assess that. Now I want to go into signs of high self-worth. High self-worth. Your base assumption in making your choices is there is enough and more is coming. So that doesn't mean that. I'll give you an example. When I was maybe 5 years ago, I was visiting a friend in New York, and I was in a wardrobe, and I looked up and there was everything in quantity: paper toilet, candles, contact lenses, products. And I was looking at everything there and I was like, why does she have so much of everything? And I started giggling. I was like, is she preparing for war? Like, what's the deal? Then after me being a bit silly, I was like, but you know what? It kind of makes sense. I've been wearing the same contact lenses for the last 3 years, but I always buy for 2 months. Why don't I buy 6 months and just give myself some breathing space? Candles. I use candles in my session all the time. Why don't I buy them in quantity? Why always I buy quantity that by 10 days or 2 weeks, I have to run to the shop and get more? And then I'm start observing myself and having all those realization and flash of things I'm doing. And I'm like, why am I doing it this way? And then bam, realization. Am I always thinking? You never know, you might run out of money. Don't spend your money. Don't spend your money. You never know what might happen. Base assumption, you might run out of money. You might not have enough. Something might happen. So my underlying program was not there is enough and more is coming to me. It's like something is going to happen and I will run out. So when I'm saying that abundant thinking and doing is based on an assumption of there is enough, I'm not saying that you should be reckless with your money. But surely at that time, I could afford to buy contacts for 6 months and to buy quantity of paper toilet, and I was not doing it. So when you start really changing your frequency, you start observing all those choices, those thoughts and actions you put out there on a daily basis that are not aligned with frequency of self-worth or life is treating me nicely and things are going to come to me. And you start choosing differently. So my little action that I started doing was buying things in quantity. And I will feel very uncomfortable I was doing that. And I will be like, it's okay, you're going to be fine. Right? So when you know, and this is why I gave you the signs of low self-worth, when you know what you do on a daily basis that is not anchored in abundance, then you can start choosing differently. And when you do so, you start changing your frequency. Right? And if you want to get, I want to get technical here. The pathway in your nervous system, the programs in your nervous system, they have a frequency. So your nervous system is fired up. Do not buy things in quantity. Things might happen. That's wired in your nervous system. When I go and I buy paper toilet and contacts in quantity, my body goes, literally, I feel sick in my body because I'm creating a new pathway in my nervous system that is related to a new frequency. Okay, that's why I like to give specific example like this list here, because it gives you an action plan to start changing your energy. And I will give you more example of that. Another sign of high self-worth and abundance. Feeling happy when you see others receiving opportunities and gifts. You see someone having a promotion, you are so excited for this person. Like when I see someone having a promotion and getting money or having an opportunity, I'm so happy like it's happening to me. If I feel triggered and I feel uncomfortable or I feel jealous, I feel this cannot happen to me. I feel why this is not happening to me. I feel lack. I feel separation. I'm in a lower vibration. You spend time with yourself and you nurture yourself. You have an ability to receive from yourself and from others. When people give you something, when people want to treat you, you receive and you don't feel uncomfortable. A lot of people are actually not. You give without expecting. You have acceptance and compassion, right? So if your self-talk is always criticizing yourself, what's wrong with me? Why am I doing this way? I should have done this. This is not a loving vibration. And that vibration is not a vibration of I'm going to land a $1 million contract or 1,000, like whatever you have on your desire and your goals, right? And like people who are very successful, their self-talk is very accepting, compassionate. They're like cheerleaders to themselves. Allowing yourself to be loved without withdrawing and closing, respecting and valuing people's time and energy, investing in your physical and emotional well-being, owning and claiming what you want, owning and claiming your gift. So having that confidence of this is who I am and this is what I bring to the table. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. They have a brilliant idea, but they're so shy about it. And they're second guessing themselves and doubting themselves. If you don't see that whatever you offer has an amazing value, why other people will see it? And even when other people see it, you won't believe it. I know people who, clients wanted to pay them more for something and they were like, why does she want to pay me that much? And I was like, because she sees the value and she really wants to treat you and invest in you. Feeling supported and guided, that goes back to the first one. You believe that you deserve everything you desire. You pay your bills and services with gratitude, not with like, oh my God, I have to pay my bills. I can't believe I have to pay my bills. That's fears, that's scarcity, that there is not enough. Asking for your desire to be met, So that means that in your life, with your friends, with your colleagues, with your family, whatever, you honor yourself. You have your standard and you ask for those standards to be met, right? When you truly value yourself, when you truly honor yourself, you have a voice and you only allow things that are honoring you to come into your energy. You only accept environment, food, people, place, clothes that truly support and nourish you. Okay. So when I work with people on abundance, when we work on all these little things, the energy starts shifting. And I have an online program right now, and the women in the online program, they're like, this is amazing. Like my parents call me and they want to help me. One of the women in my program, she had like a big trip and many flights. Everything was canceled because of COVID, and the company was like, we're not going to reimburse you. And I was like, it's not lost. Work on your energy. We work on energy. 10 days ago, she received a message from the company, we're going to refund you. And 2 days after, the money was on her account. It was like a miracle because she shifted her energy around receiving, around her self-worth, and around valuing herself. She shifted also the belief that life is hard and she has to struggle to get things. So that money came back to her effortlessly. Now, let's talk about, I have the self-worth twice. Now, let's talk about receiving. Working with people. I don't know if some of you have experienced that. You always feel like you create opportunities, or opportunities come to you, they're really close, it's almost there, and then it doesn't go through. It happens a lot to people. Some people are actually really good at manifesting, but it's like the things come, they're almost there, but it doesn't materialize. A lot of time, these people have a low receptivity. Their receiving is really low. It can be that they had trauma in their childhood. There was a lot of aggression in their childhood. Parents were very authoritative and punishing. And so those people have a wall of protection, right? Whatever is coming from the outside can be of danger. So let me protect myself. So sign of low receptivity, protection, contraction, stubbornness, and rigidity. So a lot of times these people have a hard time being fluid and dealing with change. Another aspect of receptivity that is really important is when you have truly an energy of receiving and you're truly open, you are always grateful. You are always aware of all the blessings coming to you, even the little one. And gratitude is fully receiving this blessing. Gratitude is like grateful people, they're a magnet for miracle because they live life in a state of, wow, I am so blessed. And so magic keeps coming to them all the time. Okay, so gratitude, when you have high receptivity, you open, you're curious about things and open, like, okay, let me see, what is that about? Why is this happening this way? You don't feel threatened right away. You flow, right? You go with the flow, you surrender, and you are very grateful, right? So sometimes people do not succeed in their business because they have plans and they're stuck to the plan. And they keep receiving messages and suggestions to shift the strategy, but they get stuck. That's what I call not receiving. Okay? So one client, for instance, really wanted to work with women. But guess what? She kept having men coming to her. And she was like, I don't understand why men keep coming to me. I want to work with women. And I was like, what is the big thing about you have to work with women? Why are you so blocked towards working with men? Then we realized that she hasn't dealt with some belief around men because of her relationship with her dad. And that a big part of her journey as a teacher, as a healer, is to actually bridge the gap and restore the masculine. When she realized that, and she did her healing around it, she started being very successful. And then when she started working with men, something unlocked, and she also started working with women. But she would work specifically with women who needed to clear and heal their relationship with men. So it was a really interesting energy. So a big part of being an entrepreneur, and I think really successful entrepreneur, if you look at their story, there are people who are very receptive to the market. They have like tentacles, like like little spiders. Like they feel the web of energy. They hear things that people keep saying, and they adjust quickly. So for me, being an entrepreneur, every big move that I've made, I've listened. I have listened to the crazy whispers. I've been receptive. Like, so literally at one point in my career, my clients kept being like, how amazing it would be to do this work in Bali. And for me, I was like, my God, a retreat in Bali sounds like so much work. How do I do that? And then one day I woke up and I was like, let me do it. And my first retreat was full and it was amazing. And actually, what really was the tipping point in my business was the retreat. Right? Or I keep hearing a voice, go to this place, go to Kenya, do a retreat in Kenya. I follow it. And literally, I put it out there. And then 2 days after, I'm with a friend and I'm like, oh, I'm thinking to do a retreat in Kenya because I said yes to the message. And all of a sudden, she goes, oh, I have the perfect place for you. She showed me the picture. I was like, this is it. This is where I'm doing my retreat. I launched this retreat in July for end of August, full. Like all my colleagues are like, how do you do that? Like I just listen and I receive and I flow. I'm not rigid at all in the way I deal with my business, right? So you want to find a balance between having a direction and a focus, but then within that direction and that focus, having your antennas and your receptivity and flowing what you receive with what you receive. Okay, so that's typically for entrepreneur, but it works also in general in bringing more money and abundance in your life. Okay, now I want to get to really starting to dig deep in your mindset and your programming around money and abundance. There are a few questions here. And those questions, I'm going to give you some time to really reflect on them. Okay? Questions? No, okay. I'm going to give you time to reflect on them and really tune into them. How do you respond when you are given compliment, adoration, celebration, love, gift, money? How does your body feel? Are you uncomfortable? Are you shying away? Are you like, yes? How do you feel? List 3 emotions you experience when you spend money, in particular when you have to spend a big amount, or even small amount, pay your bills. List 3 emotions you feel when you receive money. All this will start showing you your vibration around money and abundance. What is your biggest money concern right now? What are you really afraid of with money? What was your mother relationship with money and how abundant was she? So it's money and abundance when you were a child, right? And what about your father? What were the discussions at home around money? List your first childhood money memory. Like what, when you start being aware, oh, there is such a thing as money. How did you feel about it? What was the story around it? Was it positive? I work with a woman, for instance, her mom, she would save money and her mom would come and take her money. Her mom was terrible with money and then she would take her daughter money. So she registered a belief that when there is no point for her to save money because someone will come and take it from her. So when we work in the subconscious, when we connected with our inner child, that's what we heal. So what's your first childhood money memory or abundance memory? List the emotions, feeling, and sensation you rather feel while spending and receiving money. That's where we want to go now. That's the new behaviors and thought and actions you want to have to be another frequency and to attract different things. If there were three things you could have in your life that you don't have right now, what would they be? What is one of your desire that you are ready to own today? Because a lot of time we want things, but are we really ready to have them now? That's a different question. Describe your version of an epic life, a life where you have full abundance, money is fully flowing to you exactly the way you want. Like what do you want money for? Right? Because wanting money just to want money, it's not a magnetic energy. Wanting money because you want, like money is an energy of creation, right? So money goes to people who really have stuff to create and they have excitement and it's like a game for them. Money flows to those people. But people want money to be safe or not to be afraid or not to feel threatened or whatever. The general energy around it is fear. And what feels really abundant to you in your life right now. So that's going back to gratitude. Okay. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to really ponder in particular on number 2, question 2, question 3, question 5, and 6. Because what we want to do, we want to go back to your childhood, connect to your inner child, the little you, and change the story. In other words, we want to override the old program in your subconscious mind. I see there are messages in the chat. It's recorded. Yeah, you're going to get the presentation. I will do it for you, guys. I'm going to zoom in. There you go. Okay. You will get the presentation anyway. How do you differentiate between modesty and low self-esteem? That's a very good question. It's a very fine line. If you give me an example, I can answer. Fatima, the presentation is on the screen now. You should be able to see it. Right, and I really want to invite everyone to focus on 2, 3, 5, and 6 because we want you to start really identifying your feelings and behavior around money and abundance and where they are coming from. Because we're going to do a small meditation and connect with your inner child. We have only an hour and a half to 2 hours. The inner child journey, I'm going to give you, like we're going to do it now, but that's something that you want to do regularly. And I usually do it in one-on-one session or in my online courses because I can really kind of support you throughout the process. But I want to do it with you today so that you really start shifting that energy, right? So your path to abundance is going to be basically those two main things: shifting the story and the source energy, your childhood and the stories you created, which is, we're going to do like we're going to start doing that together. And then the second thing is going to be starting to think, act, and speak in a way that is aligned to the new vibration you want consistently. So I'm giving you time now to really connect with those questions and come into awareness. And then the person who asked me about self-esteem, if you can give me a little bit more. Take some time to journal and have your realizations. I actually want to do questions now and do the meditation after, because I feel like doing the question now to clarify a little bit for people before we go into the meditation. So if you have questions about everything I shared, if there was anything that wasn't clear, yes. Walid Abdullah, I hope that, you know, when you look at the many projects that you start seeing the pattern of where you stop and why you stop, because that's the pattern that will help you understand the belief that is there. Now, I kind of gave the example of not picking the right partner, but it might be something else. Any other questions, or should we just go into the journey now? Do you have realization about the messages? Actually, I would love for some of you to share in the chat. Are you having any realization about the programming from your childhood? Things that you heard, or your parents' relationship with money, abundance, receiving, self-worth. Let's just share in the chat. Because the idea here is for everyone to have more and more awareness of like the belief, so that when we go into the journey and connect with the subconscious belief, you can really shift them. Okay, before we go on a journey, we are always concerned to lose the money at any time. Yes, yes. Because basically, before we go on a journey, I want to know, before we go into the inner child journey, remember, guys, the inner child journey is basically your subconscious mind doesn't make the difference between past, present, and future, right? So what we do when we do the inner child journey, we go back to event and dynamic in childhood, and we reprogram your inner child. So basically, we override the story. That's what we do. So before we go on to the inner child journey, I want to make sure that everyone has more or less at least one or two awareness on like where it's coming from, what happened in your childhood, or what you heard in your childhood, or how were your parents, where those limiting beliefs or those behavior or those situations are coming from. Okay, so if you have an awareness, yes, give me just a yes in the chat, and then we'll go on the journey. If you don't, let me know also. Exactly, Pradeep. Yes, yes. Yeah, what's wrong with, it's not about, there was some wisdom in what you were taught, right? Don't be greedy. Just don't want money to have money, just to have more, 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 right? Be independent, be self-sufficient, chase your dream, make things happen, create something, give a legacy, right? Live well, right? But don't chase money just to chase money. So there is some wisdom there, but sometimes when people were giving us wisdom, they were giving us the wisdom with the fear attached to it. And so that's why it created some confusion in our field. And we want to refine the story, refine the value of the message, and make it ourselves. I say a lot of time, some of the voices that you have in your head, they're not yours. They're your parents, they're your cultures, they're your sisters, whatever, right? Oh my God, I have to work hard to receive money. I have such a good example for that. I work with someone who was a coach, and she's still a coach, and she couldn't really make money out of her coaching, but she was really good. And we did an event together in Lagos, and we were in a panel together. And for the event, she was preparing, she had notebooks everywhere, taking notes, and she was like acting so intense about it. And I was like looking at her. It's like, what's going on there? And at one point, I was like, lady, people are here. It's like 10 minutes past the beginning. Let's do it. Let's just go. You ready? You have it. And she was like, okay, okay. And she took a paper. And then she got, and we got started, and she was flying. Flying. Session was great. Then I had a session with her. So she wanted me to coach her. So we have a session together. And she was like, people don't want to pay. I love what I do. I know I'm good at what I do, but people don't want to pay. So I started asking her a question about her childhood. And she said, what was your relationship with your mom relationship with money? Your mom, was she a successful entrepreneur? Like, tell me a little bit about your mom. She goes, oh, my mom was amazing. She was an entrepreneur. Every Friday, we were going to the bank, putting the money that she made during the week, and then we'll go and she would treat us with something. But she will always say to us that, you know, she worked, this was hard work. Like money hurt to the sweat, like, you know, in French we say à la sueur de son front, like sweat, you know, we like hard work. I said, okay. And I was like, so do you believe, and do you think that you start believing that to make money, you have to work hard? She goes, yes. I said, okay. Do you feel that it's hard for you to be a coach? Do you feel like it's an effort for you to coach people, or does it come to you very naturally? She's like, oh, this doesn't feel like work. And I was like, and I rest my case, right? You don't feel you can make money as a coach because when you are coaching, it's so easy to you. I had the same issue, right? It's so easy. Right? So this woman realized that the reason why people were not paying is she believed that she was not worth being paid because it was so easy for her. Right? So this is the kind of belief that I'm talking about, and how it can affect your success as an entrepreneur. Yes, go for your question, Mohammed, and then we'll do the journey. Ruba, your belief was one of the belief I had. Remember when I was saying that I was not buying stuff because I was like, I might lose the money, right? And so basically when we do the inner child, you want to go back to those events and change the program and shift the energy for your inner child. Telling her that she's abundant, telling her that, you know, she's going to be fine. Like for instance, when I went into my journey with my inner child, I took her to buy some stuff that she always wanted. And I explained to her that my mom was really scared because she was taking care of 5 children by herself. But as a matter of fact, you know, we all fine and we all receive so much from life. And we are also blessed. We're living in a beautiful home, etc. But it was just my mom really being in fear. And my inner child was like, okay, makes sense. You know, so you just kind of change the story and move into a story that is more anchored in abundance and money, and explaining that whatever the other people choices or action, it was because they were in fear. Okay, let's go into the journey. So I'm going to remove that screen. Don't worry, you will get that presentation. So here, path to abundance. How do you change your frequency? Number 1, inner child healing, clear the source of the programming. So this is what we're going to do now. Number 2, change your programming, rewire your nervous system today. Start really identifying the new thoughts, actions, and words that you use around abundance, around money, around success. Be clear about your desire, your goal. Then align your thoughts, action, and words to them. So why did I make a difference between these two? The first one is everything that you're doing today that is anchored in fear, scarcity, there's not enough, low self-worth, you start doing the other way, right? Or you stop doing that. The third one is the next level is, okay, once you start, your nervous system start registering the new frequency, then the next level is, okay, I started undoing these programs. Where am I heading now? And how do I really step up my energy to where I'm heading now? So for instance, one thing that happened a lot for women who had a lot of self-worth, when they invest in one of my retreats and they come to the retreat, is such a strong sign to the universe. I deserve a week for myself. I deserve to spend $2,500 for my well-being, etc., etc. Usually these women, when they come back, something happened. In their relationship, in their career, something happened because they took an action that was, I deserve that. I am worth that. Okay? Growing up, my parents had both contracted new relief happening. My father viewed it as a scarce thing to preserve, while my mother was the impulsive spender. And I created a conflict between them, which never forgave me that money was the root of all problem. Around thinking that money is the root of all the issues in the world, when in reality money is the same can have. Exactly. So Haya and everyone, we're going to do the journey now. We're going to really go into your inner child, and we're going to really tune into what you felt in your childhood around money and abundance. And your job is going to basically take care of your inner child. Make sure that he or she expresses how she or he feels. So emotional flow, releasing the fear, releasing the anxiety, releasing the confusion. And then you're going to help your inner child change the story. So for instance, remember the client I told you about? A mom was always breaking a piggy bank and taking her money that she put on the side. So when she went back, what she did with her inner child, she gave $100 to her inner child, they put it together in a piggy bank, and they hide it somewhere. They put it somewhere, and she was not supposed to tell anyone where it was. This woman, after we did this journey, she changed everything with her relationship with money. When I worked with her, she was in Dubai, she was in deep debt. She took care of her debt, released everything, left Dubai, went back to London, studied finally what she really wanted to study, and now she's a veterinarian. Okay, so when you go to your inner child, remember your subconscious mind doesn't know that this is not real. Your subconscious mind is going to be like, okay, that's the new story. Okay. Let's get started, everyone. I'm going to remove that stop share. So stop share. And I'm going to now put some music in the background for the meditation. So I'm going to ask you for the journey into your inner child and your subconscious to sit comfortably with your shoulders relaxed. Maybe you can rest against your chair, like so you're very comfortable, and you're going to close your eyes, and I will just guide you through it, okay? So start connecting with your breath. Inhaling through your nose, and when you exhale, open your mouth. This is what allows you to connect and access your subconscious. When you exhale, open your mouth. Disha, let me know if the sound is okay. I'm going to play some music. And just let me know if the sound is okay. Everyone, start really connecting with your breath. Close your eyes. Inhale. Open your mouth. Exhale. Breathing deeply into your spine, into your lower back. And you're going to, with each exhale, release any tension in your legs, your knees, your thighs. And breathe deeply into your shoulders, your heart. And if you feel some tension in your body, this is probably where the fear is, the scarcity. Breathe into it. Open your mouth, exhale. And breathe into your face, your neck, and your throat. Releasing. And now we're going to start breathing into your heart space. Really breathing into your heart. Releasing any tension around your heart space. And as you breathe into your heart, you're going to find this place in your heart where there is a little bit of tension, a little bit of heaviness. Breathing into that space. And listening. And the more you breathe into that space, the more you feel it. And you enter this space as if you enter a room. And in this room, you see a little child sitting in a corner. When you look a little bit closely, you see that this little child is you. Maybe you are 6, maybe you are 5, maybe you are 3. And this little child is scared, confused, or maybe even sad or angry. And you're going to connect with this little child and introduce yourself. And say, I am here to take care of you. I am here to protect you. And maybe this child needs an explanation, maybe a hug, maybe permission to scream, to express, or cry. And take a deep breath in, exhale, and say to this little child, what money is and what abundance is, the real story. Restore the truth and release the lies, the fears. As you speak to this little child, you can feel the energy shifting and peace coming, clarity coming. Because all along, this child knew that there was something different. And take a deep breath in. Exhale. And tell this inner child, this little you, that it's a new beginning and things will be different going forward. And gently give gratitude. Take a deep breath in and come back. Gently coming back. Gently opening your eyes. Bring one hand to your heart and be grateful to yourself. So I really wanted to do this journey because you won't believe how much shift happens when people truly start connecting with their inner child. How much healing happens, how the reality, the opportunity that come to us, the people that come to them completely change. Right? Because they do not have that belief anymore and their frequency, their vibration shift. And you can do this many times, right? If you really, really give yourself permission to connect deeply to your inner child, you will even feel your presence. I think some of you might even feel it already, that something is different. Some of you maybe got emotional. It is completely normal. You're releasing the emotions and the fear, everything that happened, right? Because for some of us, it was quite heavy. For my mom, it was really hard raising 5 children by herself, right? It was a real hardship. Like, it was like, don't waste money, like, bring back the change. It was like these kind of conversations, okay? So everyone, do you want to say how you're feeling now? Just put one word in the group. How was the journey for you? What did you feel? So another very important aspect of success and abundance, and that's something that I will share in the next session, is taking space and using your voice, right? Is really taking time. You came into this workshop, we create this experience together. It's really learning how to show up and take space and use your voice. Another element that I work on with entrepreneur with success is this fear of expressing, right? And always keeping things inside and not using the voice. So in the spirit of, stepping into leadership and abundance, take the space in the chat and share with us, how was the journey, how was this experience for you. Intense, powerful, and liberating. Another thing with the word is when you use the word, you amplify an energy, right? Some of you might be very emotional. If it is the case, do not be scared. It's normal. It's just you releasing the old story. Someone asked me, I think someone asked me, can you eat money? I'm not sure I understand that question. If you can clarify. A weight has been lifted. That's usually how people feel. Yeah. Now, I want to say something to everyone. This journey, some people will get into it really fast. Some people need a little bit more of time. So if you had a little bit of a hard time really getting into the journey, it's okay. It's like bicycle, right? When you do it next time, you will see it will be easier, right? So if you were a bit distracted or disconnected, don't worry about it. In particular, if you've never done this type of journey before, it's completely normal. Just go back at it, okay? Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so Disha, I don't know if more people want to share how they're feeling now. It's
Please
quite,
do.
yeah.
I that's something I've never done either before, and I have to say it was very enlightening, very eye-opening. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm starting to really question my own beliefs and patterns when it comes to my own business plan. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like we do this for business, we do it for our startups, but to kind of understand yourself a little bit better, I feel like it's going to really help us achieve what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I generally first time, and I'm very enlightened. So thank you, Silfa.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I know I shared a lot of information, so I will be sending also the presentation because that's a lot to digest so that everyone can go back to those places where they need to dig a little bit more and understand a little bit more and clarify maybe. But yeah, it was a lot of information in an hour an hour and a half.
Well, you did a fantastic job to
Thank
make us
you.
digest it. And so I just wanted to thank you for this evening, and thank you to everybody who attended. Just a reminder that the series is going to continue on Wednesday, the 21st of October at 4 p.m., where Silfath will be guiding us for success and leadership for
Mm,
entrepreneurs. So thank you again to everybody who joined us today,
thank
and
you.
we see you all on Wednesday. Have a fantastic evening. Stay safe and be happy.